All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm James Oliver Jr., managing partner of Kabila Ventures, a new venture firm coming soon. CEO of Kabila, which connects overlooked founders to capital, co-founders, and community. Husband to an amazing wife, and co-founder of the world's cutest twins. So, look, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, please drop in the comments and let us know where you are coming in from. Please share this on your social media channels, wherever you're listening, to invite your friends to join the conversation. Also, as we get into this, please drop your questions in the comments, and we will do our best to get to all of them as we always do. So, look, if you've been raising capital, if you're a startup founder, you've been raising capital for the last 2 years or so, you know how challenging it's been. And as we think about alternatives to capital from accelerators, VCs, angels, crowdfunding community rounds keep popping up as an option. But do you know what you need to consider before spinning one up and what you need to do to effectively execute one when you do spin one up? So, got a treat for you today. I'm excited to bring to you someone who knows how to get this done, as she's raised $63,000 on Wefunder already. Tamara Lucas is a good friend and a great human. Like me, she's a Techstars alum. She's the founder and CEO of My Panda, which stands for the personal assistant next door, and which is a concierge service for busy moms focused here in Atlanta currently, but expanding internationally soon enough. Hopefully I explained what that is correctly, Tamara. If I did, I'm sure you will correct me. All right. And today she will give you three tips to crush your crowdfunding community round. Welcome, 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 Tamara. What's up?
Hi. Thank you for having me. You can hear me okay?
Yes. Okay. All right, we got some folks popping in. What's going on, Delroy, coming from Atlanta in the building? What's going on, LinkedIn user? It doesn't say your name, but I'm so sorry it doesn't say that. It's weird that it does that sometimes, but welcome, whoever that is. If you please drop your name so we could say hello. Looking forward to hearing from you, Tamara. Sounds like a good friend of yours. I'm not surprised. You have lots of good friends. So what's good, T?
All right. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this. I am, it's interesting. This topic comes up a lot, and I've had a lot of people, I have a lot of people reach out to me like, hey, I've been talking to this founder and they're interested in doing crowdfunding. Can they talk to you? And I've fed so many people over to Wefunder to talk to them about it. So I'm excited to share what I've learned. By no means am I an expert, but I have a little bit of experience now.
Yeah, well, for sure you do. As I mentioned, you've raised over $60,000 using Wefunder. So can you please explain to everyone what a crowdfunding community round is and why founders should consider doing it?
Yeah. So the regulation CF, which is what the crowdfunding like Wefunder goes on, basically allows you to get many investors. They do not need to be accredited. They can invest as little as $100. And you can just build them all up and put them on this one line on your cap table. And it gives an opportunity for people that are not actual accredited investors to step in and actually contribute to something they believe in, and also develop some, create some wealth on their own too, which I think is also really exciting. So by working with these organizations, basically you create a campaign and then you send it out to your community, and you have to raise a certain amount. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then the company I've been using Wefunder will put it all on one. They'll do all the documentation, get the regulation CF paperwork done, and then you have one line on your cap table. Or, for me, 63,000 was the most recent one. Yeah. And so it's a really easy way to get support from a lot of different people.
Yeah, the one line on the cap table is key.
Yeah.
So we got Larry popping in from Vinings Village in Atlanta. What's up, Larry? Good to see you, man. Amari, what's good? Oh, Tamara always drops gems. Yes, she does. 1,000%. Who's this here? And August.
I just met him at the ATV a couple weeks ago.
Awesome. Good. So good. So you mentioned, which equity crowdfunding platforms should people be considering? You mentioned Wefunder before. What are some of the others? I know Republic. Are there any others that are prominent?
Yeah, Start Engine is kind of the other one. Those are kind of the three that are out there. There's some other things, other companies out there, but those are the three that are kind of the most well-known: Start Engine, Republic, and Wefunder. You also have the option for things like Kickstarter and things like that, but those are not equity crowdfunding. Those are like rewards crowdfunding. So that is not so much for, startups that are trying to really kind of grow. It's more for like smaller companies that just want to give some product or something for people to invest a little bit. So
Okay. All right, cool. Sounds good. So I think I did a Wefunder a while ago, and I ended up having to stop. But I'm not going to share why now, because I'm sure we'll get into some of that in the tips that you're going to share. Again, if you're listening, please say hi. Let us know where you're coming in from. Please hit the share button and share this with your followers on whatever social media platform you're watching us.
Platinum, gold and platinum.
I just got, look, I'm raising money like you. I got money on the mind, just like a lot of people, which is why we are here today. All right, so good. So it's 3 tips. We're here at 12:30. We're going to do our best to answer all your questions. We want to make this conversational. So as we're talking, please drop your questions in the comments, and we will do our best to get to all of them. So what's your first tip, Tamara, to help somebody effectively crush their crowdfunding community round?
So the number one, these crowdfunding rounds, and Wefunder is smart, they call it community round. It really is your community stepping up to support you. So the number one thing you really have to do is really gauge interest from your community. Determine if you have enough people out there that believe in you and that have kind of at least a soft commitment of investing something. Because the way that these work is you've got to, with Wefunder anyway, I'm not sure about the other 2, but you have to get to, for example, 50K before you can open up the actual round to the rest of the Wefunder community, and also before they will actually file the Regulation CF paperwork. So sometimes it helps if you've got, say, an angel that wants to invest maybe 5 or 10 grand, right? It's barely enough to really spin up a whole safe for them on the cap table. But if you got someone that wants to invest 5 or 10 grand, you're already at that point, a quarter of the way to the 50 grand, almost a quarter of the way. And so if you can cobble that together and get an idea that you will probably be able to get enough people to get you to that 50K, then it's definitely worth looking at it. But if you start talking to people and you don't have anybody that's even going to do any more than maybe $100 here and there, then you're going to waste your time spending a lot of time building out the campaign, getting the video up, getting all of the, basically you're building out a deal for people. So sort of like your deal room is sitting there and you've got to have all this stuff there. It takes a lot of time. And if you do not have the people in your network, in your community that are enthusiastic about what you're building, it's going to be a really hard row to hoe.
I feel like
right now I've got, what did you say?
I said I feel attacked. Can I tell you why? Well, I think, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, because there's a lot of people that I've talked to, they're like, okay, yeah, no, that sounds great. I can get to 50K. And then getting there is hard when you're doing $100 at a time.
Listen,
if you get $100 investments and then you get a few 5 to 10,000, then you're basically there.
Yeah, well, listen, that's the key part right here for me, because we started it for Kabila Inc. Because we went through Techstars like you guys. We had our co-founder matching app, and we have this community, and our focus is early stage, very early stage, often overlooked founders, and they just don't have the money. Like, people are excited about it, but a lot of $100 commitments, like, you can't do it. It's like death by $1,100 cuts, and it's brutal. So I think that first point is so key. It's not just that, do you have a community that's enthusiastic, but does your community have the capacity to drop 5 or 10K? Like, I remember with your first Wefunder, you had one of your customers drop 10K. Is that right?
Yeah. I had several of my customers that did at least a couple thousand. One of them did 10 grand. And I had a lot of my pandas too, which was really cool. So this is another awesome thing about the community round, though, when you have a chance to do it, is that people get enthusiastic, right? I mean, if someone's only putting in $100, $150, I mean, like I said, I had a bunch of my pandas that did that. So the people that work for me, they work hard for the money they earn and I pay them. And then they were giving it back to me to put into the
That's
business
amazing.
because they believe in it. And so that is really exciting. And that sucks if you have a bunch of people that are like, yes, okay, I'm gonna scrape together $100 to give to you. And then after a month or two, you're like, you know what, I haven't been able to get to that 500K. You no longer, like you can't invest. Like you can't have a part in
the
this.
50K. Yeah, that is the worst feeling. So I spun it up and I took all that time, the video, the landing page, outreach, all of that. I mean, we had a couple $1,000 and I was like, yeah, there's no way we're going to get to 50K like this. And it was like doing a terrible number on my mental health. And I turned it off. I was like, yo, I can't. I got to be able to get out of bed and be a good husband and a good dad to my twins. And this is like destroying.
That's the most important thing. You got to remember that.
1,000%. So folks can go to mypanda.app. And you also recently pivoted to B2B. So if you run a business here in Atlanta, you can go to businessmypanda.app, and she has a B2B service for companies that want to offer her services to its employees. So definitely check that out. And I think if you go to my LinkedIn page in the pinned post, we had a conversation about how she pivoted a few months ago. If you want to see how you should think about making a pivot and what all she did to do that, it's definitely a good listen, I think. So yeah, that's the most important thing. And we had somebody. So we had another comment here. So Nita just said, "Hey, what's going on, Nita? I just met Nita last week at Khadijah Robinson. She had a co-working event for Black founders here in Atlanta down over by Morehouse, which was really, really cool. Hey, Nita, good to see you. All right, so that's a great tip. Tip number one, y'all. Please drop your questions if you got questions. Go ahead.
I do have one more thing about that tip. So, like, for example, one way that you can gauge the interest, just having conversations. But then, for example, right now I have a testing the waters campaign. So Wefunder actually allows you to do that too, where you can have everything sort of built up. And so right now until the 23rd, I'm putting that out to my friends and family and to previous investors that were in my previous round and getting kind of pre-commitments from them. So that's another way that you can do it. And if anyone out there is interested in being part of this campaign we have going on, we've got a little over 11,000 committed right now towards that 50K. And I'm hoping to get closer to the 50K by the 23rd to make the decision to go forward. So even this, I have
5 days. Wait. So is it okay if I put your email address up if people want to connect with you about your campaign?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So this is fascinating. You did a campaign already that was successful months ago.
That's not right. It's in the app.
It's not.
Oh no, that is right. Okay, I'm sorry.
Reading is fundamental. Sorry.
No,
remember those commercials? You're old enough to remember those commercials, right? Huh? What'd you say? Oh my God, hilarious. So you had a successful campaign and that was months ago and you're doing another one. Hey, Nita, you're doing another one. Do you want to chat a little bit about why that is, like 60 seconds or less?
Yeah. So like I just mentioned, I've got the test of waters going right now. And on the 23rd, we'll make the decision, just pull the trigger and actually have the full campaign out there for people to invest
5 days?
In 5 days, yes.
So in 5 days, you're expecting to get to 50K in the test of waters campaign?
I am expecting to get close to 50K. I don't need to get all the way there. Because if I get the people that I'm reaching out to individually and our previous investors to get us close to that, I feel like I can go to new people and get that by, I'm hoping to close it probably mid-January. So I'll have a couple more weeks.
I mean, you're my hero. I need to come like rub off of you to stay closer to you. She's like, I got 11 in 5 days. I'm gonna have 40 stacks more. What?
Well, I'm fortunate because, I've got people that love we've got so many loyal customers. We've got so many people that believe in what we're doing. Like, it's a really awesome place to be.
Yeah.
And so people want to make sure we succeed. And it's things like this crowdfunding that will help us get to the next point, which the next point to your question is, like you said, we've launched My Panda for Business, where we have offerings for companies and bosses to help support their teams. Whether you have a team of 2 or a team of 2,000, we will work with you. And basically it's to help address the pain points of getting attracting and retaining good talent, getting people back in the office, reducing stress and burnout. It's a really, really affordable way to show your employees that you care about their overall well-being. we've got that. We've launched it. We're just really trying to grow it, and I just need some resources to get that going. And then also Garden Panda, which is really exciting. This is born out of
we talked about that a while ago.
Yes. So Mario, who is the CEO at Servscape, which is another Techstars company, he and I connected at Venture Atlanta, and he had a need to help provide basic planting and installation services to some of his customers that were not buying his bigger design services, and he did not want to have to build out that whole process in his systems, and we had a process that works. So we have spent the last month kind of building that and getting that all prepped and ready to go. So we're just launching that this week. So basically you purchase your plants from Servscape, and then they deliver it, and then a panda will show up and dig holes and plant it and lay down mulch.
So the money you get from this, you'll use to help spin some of that up too. Sounds like, right? Okay,
That's
so
exactly
if I may, Amari says, "Oh wow, garden, yeah, breaking news. We're breaking news over here, y'all."
Yeah.
So to the extent that this is not one of your second or third tip, can you share a little bit about how? Because you said you're reaching out to people. Like, how are you reaching out and communicating with previous supporters or would-be supporters to support your next campaign? Like, what's your thought process? Like, how are you executing against that?
Okay. Well, this is actually tip 2, which feeds into that. So that's perfect.
Let me set you up. Segue.
Exactly. So communicating often, I think, is a very important thing. So throughout your campaign, putting updates in your campaign so people know what's going on. They can see the advancements you're making in the company. They can hear about any other, big investments you've been getting. So really letting people know what's happening to either get them to pull the trigger and put some money into the campaign, but also it's a big part of communicating with the people who have already invested. So my very first thing I did when I had this idea about doing another round was I sent out an update to all my previous investors in the previous round. It's very easy on the Wefunder platform. You just put an update and email them. So that's one way, just sort of communicating via those things.
Right. But most people here probably haven't started one, so they don't have previous investors.
Right.
They're starting from scratch. What do you do?
Most people have a email list of either supporters that you have or people that you've reached out to about possibly investing in the past, angels, customers. So, just reaching out, sending emails about updates that's going on, doing that. And then, of course, utilizing social media too. It's a huge thing.
Social media was helpful for that?
Yeah.
Man, I need to come rub like a genie, like a lamp.
People need to know what's going on, and social media is a way to let a bunch of people know what's going on. And I haven't done much on social media yet because I am just doing this testing the waters.
Yeah.
But as of the 23rd, I will be posting on my LinkedIn. I do my personal Facebook. My Facebook isn't really for business; it's more my personal. But again, your personal contacts want you to succeed, and a lot of them will be happy to invest $200 or $300 or $500 or $1,000.
So you said I heard you say all these different forms of outreach except for text messages. I was texting people and calling people.
I text too. Yeah. No, I text messaging, LinkedIn messaging, really however you communicate with people, right? Some people I communicate over a beer at the bar, right? I'll mention it to them there. Some people I communicate via texting. A lot of people I do LinkedIn messaging, so I'm reaching out to people there. Just however you communicate, just giving them a heads up that what you're doing, because if they don't know, they won't know.
They won't know. Exactly. So Nita has a question. So I had a $10,000 investor. It wasn't via an app or anything. Can I get started with a retroactive angel investment? So did you already get the money, Nita?
Crowdfunding.
What'd you say?
I think she's maybe saying like retroactive crowdfunding.
Well, if you already got the 10 stacks, I don't think you can do that.
If it's already in, no, you can't do it.
You can't do it because they're going to call that money and then people have to wire the money. So I don't think that's going to work. But could you please clarify that for us, Nita, if that's what you mean, please?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, the third tip, I know, because we're doing now, because it kind of rolls into this communicating often and all these different ways of communicating, just however you talk to people, just giving them the information of what you're doing, is also just being really creative, right? Like this, for example, right? Like having a call with a LinkedIn call, maybe doing like a webinar.
With like an influencer like me?
That's right.
Hilarious. I can't even influence my dog to eat his food these days. So I'm not an influencer, really. So Nita says, got it. I assume that we're spot on about that. Yeah, if they got to wire that money out, you don't want to start with that because you're not going to be 10K short of your 50K and you will get nada. Isn't that right, Tamara?
Yeah, exactly. It's you need to get to the 50K. I mean, if someone's like, yeah, I can do 10K next month, like then you can be like, okay, have them just pre-commit to a round and then see the community round and see where it
Yeah. So
goes.
what? So you mentioned this as a creative way to kind of get the word out. Um, so what else can we do? What other creative things do you think people can do? And I'm going to put your email address up here. If people want to reach out to you and they want to learn more about your next Wefunder round, they could follow you here on LinkedIn. I was going to copy and paste your handle, Tamara, but I meant to get on you because it's got all these numbers and letters. You got to get like a regular Tamara
My
Lucas.
what?
Your LinkedIn. I was going to post so that people connect with your LinkedIn, but if people go to Tamara Lucas, they can connect with you on
Yeah.
LinkedIn and DM if they want to learn more about your upcoming campaign. Yes, or they can simply
Yeah.
email you here.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, my recommendation: if you send their DM connection request, just send a note and just say, "Hey, saw you, talking with James. Love to connect," kind of thing.
Yeah. I also will put in this post in the comments. I'll put the actual direct link to the WeFunder.
Oh, perfect. If you,
Yeah.
oh, fantastic. Yes, that would be so great. So what are any other thoughts about creative ways that people can get the word out? So naturally, this is one, although this is not, see what's cool about what we're doing here, I think, if I do say so myself, is so this is not a commercial for your upcoming Wefunder campaign, but it's how can you help people effectively execute their campaign. So it's like if you give, like hashtag give first, if you give first, now people take an interest in what you're doing. And somebody out there maybe, okay, I appreciate you helping me. Yeah, I'll put in $100 to your Wefunder. And that's the way you do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, that kind of just goes back to, like you said, the overall arching thing of giving first and just being available to help people, building relationships like that are authentic and that you actually really do step in and are present for other people. I mean, that's how you build anything. And that will be a big foundation for if you're trying to do a community round, for sure, because you need to have people that like you and that want you to succeed. And the way that you build yourself a strong community is by being an active part of that community and giving and being productive and not just taking all the time. So that's just like a basic way of being human, and it seeps
1,000%.
into this for sure.
I mean, so I put the ticker on the bottom. Well, you're a member of my Kabila community. I mean, you're a paid member. You pay $24.99 a month, and we're friends. And I was like, "Yo, are you doing something else?" And you're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, let's spin this up so I can help you as a member of my Kabila community.
Yeah.
Right? This is my way of giving back to you. You give to us. How can I be helpful and give to you?" And we just keep that going all the time. So I love that. I think that's super important. And did we do the third tip already or no?
Well, that's it. The kind of the being creative, which being creative with so many different, like being creative with how you make connections, I guess, right? Like constantly just being open to different opportunities and different options,
Yeah.
taking advantage of unique situations. I had an opportunity last night. The Black Chamber, they have a women's group, and they had a cohort of women. They were doing an 8-week program to help them create their wealth, build their wealth, and protect their wealth. And and I was talking to the woman who was running that, who happens to be a customer of mine and also a friend. And I'm like, I would like to gift these women an hour of My
Amazing.
Panda and a free month of membership. Like they're all about like making the most of their lives to build their wealth and stuff. And so much of that is okay. Well, make
Incredible.
sure that you're actually spending your time doing the things that are going to help you build that. And so I was able to get in there and present this gift to all these women, talk to them last night. So it's just like paying attention to different opportunities and taking advantage of them and being creative with what you do to make connections and how you
Yeah.
just connect with people.
So I love that. I also think I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a second. It's a bit of a mindset shift, and based on my experience in particular for early stage founders who are just like grinding and bootstrapping and trying to get customers and get to MVP. And they're like, I need. I have nothing to give to anyone. It's simply not true.
No.
Right? Like I am, launching my fund. I can't talk about all of that because of SEC rules, but I'm grinding too, right? I mean, this has nothing to do with me launching my fund. Right. Well, in the grand scheme, it does because, the founders of my community ecosystem, that's part of my business model. But giving first is super, super, super important. Right. And when you give and people see you giving, a funny thing happens. Like people start to give to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And really, a lot of times it's just even taking 10 minutes, 10 minutes to talk to someone and tell them about your experience. So sometimes it's just time, and that's what you can do.
And even if you're grinding head down, because this happens to me all the time, like I get a connection request on LinkedIn, somebody wants to have a meeting, and I'm like, look, I am 100% focused on my fund right now, but I'm game to go back and forth with you in the DMs async, right? There's no pressure for me to have to spend 30 minutes of my time on something that's not a priority for me, but it still lets me be helpful. So I'm always game to do that. So that's something else you can do too. So Larry wants to know, what are the typical terms for crowdfunding?
Yeah. Okay, so you can set whatever terms you want. I think, well, for me, I've done a safe both times. So you can really do. Some people do convertible notes. I don't know many people that have done price rounds, but for me, I've done a safe note, just standard safe note. $6 million valuation. The previous round, now I'm at 8 million, just because of new partnerships and whatnot that I have and our revenue growing. So you can really set it for whatever it is. And whenever you go in as an investor, you can go into that campaign and see what all the terms are. So and for people that are familiar with that are angel investors, that will make sense to them. For those of us that are spinning up these rounds, a lot of times when you're just talking to your friends or neighbors and they're like, yeah, I want to invest, but sometimes you need to explain to them a little bit more about what these terms are, like what is a safe note. And it's really good too. There's a lot of great links that they have. For Wefunder will have a thing that will explain what a safe note is, in clear terms. So making sure that people understand what they're investing in is really important as well.
Oh, we got a great question here. So Liberty's popping in saying hi. Hey, Liberty, good to see you. And drop those gems. Yes, of course. This is a great question right here. How much of that raise came through Wefunder's network versus your own?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So once you get to 50K of your network, it opens up to the rest of the Wefunder network, and I got a few thousand from them.
You did?
I think it was probably about 5 or 6 grand came in. And the interesting thing is, 2 of those people that I didn't even know that was Wefunder people, they were 2 of the very first people that jumped in on this testing the waters round. So they both have invested again, just from the notice that I sent out to my previous investors in the previous round.
So good. So they invested in the last one who came from Wefunder's network. They're investing again in the current one. That's so good. So she said, also, did you pick Wefunder because they had a beneficial cost structure? How much do they take on the raise? Not a good question.
Yeah, I think it's 7% is what they take. I looked at a couple different. I looked at Start Engine and Wefunder. They're all sort of similar. Wefunder did have a very easy way to spin up the community round very, very quickly for me to get it in front of my people. And I had a contact directly through Techstars, so I just sort of went with them because it made sense for me to do that. But the 7%, it's like, yeah, that's expensive. But then also I looked at doing a roll-up vehicle. That right there, you got like 8 or 10 grand just to get it set up at the beginning. And I don't have 8 or 10 grand sitting around. So the nice thing about Wefunder is they just take it off at the end. You're going to pay for any of these sorts of things. So for me, the 7% just made sense.
So I'm going to drop a link here for my podcast. I actually interviewed Johnny Price from Wefunder on my podcast a while ago. So I'm just going to add this banner and drop this on the bottom. If you want to hear directly from, he's the VP of banter, is what he says. So you can just go to parentsmakingprofits.com and just look for the Wefunder conversation I had for him about a year or so ago. You can check that out, parentsmakingprofits.com, and just do a search for Wefunder, and you can find that episode there. One last question here. Did they help with your valuation? Thank you.
No, they don't really have anything to do with the terms. It's pretty much all on you. I just talked to my attorneys and my stakeholders and my advisors to determine.
Smart. All right, cool. Well, we are at time. This is amazing, everybody. Thank you so much for your questions. I really, really appreciate it.
And feel free to email me if you have any other questions or want to ask anything.
Yeah. Do you have a hard stop now, Tam, or do you have 5 minutes after
I've
this?
got 2 more minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to end this. I'm going to play the outro video. Thanks so much, everybody. We appreciate you. So I don't know if you remember a couple months ago, I did a conversation with Mitch Weiner, who was the co-founder and CMO of DigitalOcean, another Techstars company, which IPO'd. He helps founders fix their startup taglines. He has a new product he's working on for B2B marketers and for people trying to figure out where their sales are coming from. So I'm going to spinning up because we spend a lot of money on marketing stuff, but you can't always attribute where'd that sale come from, like what, you know what I mean? So he's working on that. So look out for that. That'll be coming probably not before the holidays, but the beginning of next year. That'd be great. And Mitch is an angel investor. I keep telling y'all, come to these things, follow them, get to know them. The best is vested, lines, not dots. You might get a check. That's how that goes. All right, so I'm gonna shut this off. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, everybody. We'll see y'all again most likely in January. Later.